So what we've seen up until now of edge deployments, in particular AI deployments, data management deployments, all kind of, coming together as one, is that they've been very customized, very bespoke for here's the way I'm trying to solve this business problem for this segment. Different per vertical, per customer, per use case, even per location. And they were all snowflakes. As you're seeing more of these deployments, more of edge, more of AI, more of data generation and management, are you starting to see more commonality, more best practices, more central themes coming out, or are they still snowflakes?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in what you just teed up. It's really interesting because I think if one's worked in like robotic process automation or some earlier versions of machine learning that I've been involved with, you tend to think about building these rule sets that you then create a library of. And I think in things like robotic process automation, you're almost definitively taking something that's standardized, and this ends up becoming a best practice. And then it becomes easier and easier and easier and so forth. AI, even though I think intellectually we understood how generative AI was going to impact operations, when you actually get to the individual clients, you find out that just because they're doing the same thing in the same industry, mostly the same way, the difference with generative AI is, I use this term, the personality or the culture of the company affects what answers you want generative AI to give, what bandwidth you're willing to do it. And then you add in edge, which is, a lot of this has been analytical stuff, but the edge stuff is real-time use of AI. So it makes it incredibly complex. So where I think it is I've sort of got this catchphrase, which I think it's bespoke at scale, which is a little bit of an oxymoron, is what you're trying to do is you're not going to do it the way, a lot of the old 90s ERP companies said, where, I build it on the first client, and then I do two more, and then everybody after the third customer. Do it this way because it's best practice. That has gone the way of the dodo bird in terms of, I think, largely, and not just generative AI. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we create sort of a deli menu of different capabilities, and then we have a fairly thick client configuration layer. And the last point I'll make, because I know I've gone a little bit long on this, but is that with AI, it's not like the old view of enterprise software. You build it, you define it, then you wait for an update, and so on. You're creating the ability to have dynamic updating of your operating systems, right? That takes a lot of focus and understanding about what you want generative AI to do or not, implied in the beginning of your question, right? Is what do I want to actually let it do? Do I want to let it change my manufacturing line real time? Maybe I do within some parameters. That's really important, that every company is going to make a different decision on how they use that. Therefore, I don't see this becoming, hey, it's best practice. This is the standard for the network equipment industry, or this is the standard for advertising. It's going to be more, we have some rule sets we can use there, but what I call the configuration layer, it's conceptual as opposed to literal. The way a company uses that, the way it applies it, is going to be very different depending on their leadership and their strategic intent. Overall, that's why I really think business and technology, the gap between the two transformations, is shrinking to zero.